Apex Online Racing is sponsored by Elgato, who created this lovely stream deck. For more information about the stream deck, the link is in the description below.
Hello and welcome to round 2 of the iRacing GTE League Season 11 here on AOR. We are about to go into qualifying, and I'm glad to say that at this time I'm joined in the box by James Clay.
Hello everyone, sorry I couldn't be here last week, slight complications meant that I just couldn't make it, but we're here, it's Spa, and that's all that matters right now.
That certainly is, and I'm, of course, Nicholas Domino. We are still waiting on our third man, who was supposed to actually be here, but that's how lives go sometimes. We don't know where he is, so if somebody finds him, please say so. We are soon going into qualifying, and as people who are familiar with the format knows, that we are having 3 different qualifyings: the AMs, the Pro-Ams, and the Pros at the end. And they are having 8 minutes of qualifying, and we're having just the AMs going out first. Just going through the field, we are having car number 375 of James Smith, number 307 of Jean Calmet, car number 337 of Marcus Boulea. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing these names wrong. It's not my strong suit. Number 382 of the fake Finnish driver of Stefan Kamke. Number 317 of Thomas Santot. Number 364 of Alessandro Pontecorvi. Number 366 of Merlin Cooper. And I'm just having here. Number 339 of Daniel Mamano. And last but not least, number 304 of Victor Matthias. So James, Spa, what are we expecting here?
Well, there's kind of been a bit of a spanner thrown into the works as we come into this week. There's been a big update to the GTEs. There's been a slight balance of performance. Well, obviously that's obviously iRacing system to try and balance the pace of these cars, and what they've done is they've taken 5 kilograms out of the BMW, which I think a lot of people up and down the grid think is perfectly justifiable. The BMW was significantly off the pace. I think a lot of people would agree with me saying that for now, whereas here it's not really the BMW strong suit Spa, but it's still kind of on the pace, but I'm sure when we get to other tracks it'll be better and tracks will be slower, and that's what you want to see. You want to see a little bit like that. But the other big change that we've had is the tyre model has been reworked slightly. If anyone's followed iRacing, they will have known at the start of the season they changed the GT3 tyre model, and what they've now done is they've taken that and tried to basically put it on the GTEs, and it has made a big difference. It has given the cars a lot more rear grip, which is kind of nice, because I think a lot of drivers thought that was kind of the main issue that they were experiencing. But obviously with this, without a balanced performance change, there's still been a slight change to the running order. So the Ford's now quite good again on top of where it was before, because the Ford used to be very hard to drive and now it's a lot more stable, whereas the Ferrari, which was a car that was quite easy to drive, has lost a bit of that advantage. Porsche is not really shifted too much. It's slow on the straights, good in the middle sector, so everything kind of balances out for it. So I think it's kind of a case of we're going to have to see how everybody does on track today to work out really where the pecking order is.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the changes that has also been is the cars, some of them have not been, they're not allowed to be lowered more than, I think it's 50 millimeters.
Yeah, they changed the front ride height minimums.
Yeah. So on some cars, especially the Porsche, that could go into be a factor. So as we are starting to see some of the times here. No, they're just... I
At the
lost
moment,
car.
yeah.
James.
Jan Kelmet is the only person to have set a lap time. He is on a 14.660. Daniele Mamano technically has, but it's a 246.0, so I'm presuming that's more of a outlap that's been counted for whatever reason. He crosses the line, and I think he set an invalid lap, which is another talking point for Spa, isn't it, Nicholas?
Oh, yeah.
The off-track system around here is very inconsistent, so you'll see a lot of drivers maybe invalidating their lap times around here because it's sometimes hard to tell where the limit is, and other times you can just get away with way more than you would expect.
Oh yeah, definitely. If some corners, if you're just looking at a curb, that's an off-track, and you're like, well, I wasn't even there. And other times, you can go all the way over, but it has been better than in previous years. But I'm still within the thing that the white line for me, that's the line of the track. If you go over there, that's an off track. That I have always been kind of a fan of.
Unfortunately, that's not iRacing's ruling on it, and that's what caused so many issues because technically an off-track is to do with safety more than gaining an advantage, and to do with him and technical speak and blah 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 blah. Slowdowns are more supposed to combat advantages, but at tracks like this, they don't. They really don't. The Spa 24 will show you that. I mean, we had drivers running in the gravel traps last year to gain an advantage, and I don't think slowdowns were there keeping them from doing that. So.
No, that's actually why they introduced a couple of or last season they introduced in the endurance events these where we have a cap, and we now have where you can get penalty. I remember we had a team that got 999 off tracks. And that's just ridiculous. 24 hours.
I think they're very harsh for the Spa 24 that's coming up very soon. It's 100x for the entire race, and then before you get a penalty. And at this track, that's very, very difficult to keep under. It's hard to keep under 15 sometimes in 1 hour, and you've got to basically go for 4 an hour to meet that. So that just shows how difficult this track is to deal with the incident points, which will become a big factor in the race because we have the same incident limit here as we do at any other track because it's the same length in time. 18x will give you a drive-through penalty, and 24x will see you disqualified from the race. And I guess, we'll have to see how that plays out on your qualifying lap. Any form of incident will get your lap invalidated, which is what we've seen so far from so many drivers. But we now have 7 drivers on the board. Nice to see there's a bit of a range of times. Jan Kelmet is very far out in front, 0.6 of a second, which at Spa is not as big a gap as it might be at other tracks because we are at a 7-kilometer venue, but still a healthy margin. Then it's quite close on the final spot of the front row between Victor Matios Pontecorvi and Merlin Cooper, all separated by around 2.5 tenths. So, I guess there weren't too many AMs as we were going down the running order, so unfortunate to see, and I guess we'll get to much more close qualifying when we get into the next 2 categories.
Yeah, I think so, and we also have Jamie Smith, who hasn't posted a lap time, and as well with Thomas, and as we alluded to before, that probably is these risky off tracks. But the pro-ams are getting out, and they are getting racy as Alex Smith, and who is he fighting against there? Is that Craig Dancy? Yeah, coming out of the pits. But let's just go through all of them. Alex Smith in car number 299. Yuji Rudela in car number 297. Craig Dancy, as we saw before, in the team Yasu Omega, number 254. Cass Hundeno in car number 250. He was one of the drivers last time who was kind of, not there, and then suddenly when the checkered flag fell, he was in the top 3 fighting for podiums.
I think we have to also congratulate Gas because he has just yesterday signed with Comrade Gaming, so good job for him, and this is making his race debut then, I guess, for the teams.
Ah, nice. Well, congratulations to him. Car number 241 of Marvin Truman. Number 243 of Vessel van Walter. Car number 269 of Jordan Laxi. Car number 225 of Thomas Garon. Car number 236 of Andreas Lotus, who, decided that he wanted to change car, like maybe an hour or two before this all went out. So that was not an issue for me as making the skin pack at all. Thank you, Andreas. Car number 293 of Chris Yardley. Car number 271 of Dan Alpol. Car number 262 of Robert Edward. Car number 291 of Kafa McCarran. Car number 208 of Ash Russell. Car number 276 of Philip Schiff. Car number 210 of Paki. Where boy? That's Polish.
I'm afraid I am not good at pronouncing Polish names, so I'm not going to be able to help you out on that one.
No, yeah. Car number 278 of Owen Blythe. Car number 245 of Stephen Broomfield. Car number 247 of Ben Godey. And last but not least, car number 220 of Thomas Lagney. Oh my god, that's a lot of drivers.
We have a lot of pro-ams.
We have a lot of pro-ams, but it's also just one of the more difficult thing, because if they're not fast enough for the pros and not slow enough for the amps, you just put them in the pro-ams. So what we tend to see is we have quite a lot of drivers here, and quite a spread in how fast they are. So, but sometimes they're not, that much between them. So we have had seasons where we had 10 race winners in 12 rounds. So this is for me one of the more.
I think it was C7. I want to say 7. Where I seem to remember the Pro-Ams having about 7 different winners in 7 different races or something. It was something stupid.
Yeah.
I think it was only. I think Knut Martinsson was like one of the only drivers to have done 2 wins in the season until Alex Bennett came along and then swept away all the wins and took the championship or something. Yeah. But that was one of those seasons where they just nobody seemed to want to have consistency up front. But speaking of people running away with things, Craig Dancy has managed to put it on currently provisional pole by 6/10, but no, Cass has gone and pipped him by 2/10. Personally, having seen Craig in officials this week, I had him down as a favourite for the Pro-Ams. He's been fighting up well above his iRating so far this week, so I was fully expecting him to be the favourite, but no, Cass is proving me wrong and putting in one hell of a shift. And speaking of shift, we have Philip Schiff, who was another one who was doing quite well in officials this week. Both the Shizua Mega drivers were putting in the laps, and it's proving to pay dividends at the moment. But like I said, Cass is currently the man on pole, the man to watch as they go out for their second runs. And that's something I wanted to talk about, with the fact that with the new tyres, they kind of have a golden lap at the start of the stint, and beyond that lap, they're not as fast anymore. So there is this whole, you'll see a lot of this where drivers are doing 1 lap and then pitting, and then doing another lap and pitting, and etc., because of the fact that the tyres, for the first kind of 3 laps, they get slower, and then they just sit at that pace for the rest of the stint. So it's one thing to watch out for in the race. So again, you have to see how big this 3-lap drop off is, but there won't be as much tyre degradation as per se as we saw in things like Silverstone last season, where we had drivers all over the place spinning and running out of tyres and getting meatball flags because they had no tyres left. And we're not going to have any of that. Instead, we won't be having the discussion of, oh, should they take tires, unfortunately, but it means that at least people will at least be able to fight each other, I guess. That's the one upside to it.
Yeah, and one thing that we also have to keep in mind is that these cars are, GTEs, so they are made for endurance racing. So
that was the ridiculous bit about it.
Yeah, so they, in theory, they should be able to do at least 2 full fuel stints on these tires at least on a track like this. And we here are running, is it 55% of the full fuel tank? It's something like that, or 45, because they need to do about 1 or 2 stops in these rounds. So just to give a bit more strategic options for people, and just to mix up the race a bit. That's why we have these fuel stops. But yeah, as you said, the tires should not be a problem, and you would expect a GT tire to just be golden throughout a race like we have here.
Yep. So yeah, I think now everybody's getting on to their final hot laps. There's their second runs. Darcy is just in front of Cass, and I think that Darcy isn't quite giving him a slipstream. If anyone could just snag a slipstream off somebody around here, it would be worth a lot of lap time, because of course pretty much out of Stavolo 2 all the way up to Lecom is almost a minute of just pure slipstreaming if you get it, and that would just be, well, maybe even close to a second. So I expect to see slipstream being very useful when we get into the race, and anyone who has that advantage in qualifying will do very well for themselves.
As Broomfield and Belvolder has decided to call a stop, as well as Smith.
Speaking of Darcy and his fight for pole, he's run off wide in Pouon and has just caught a snap of oversteer and has gone straight into the barrier. So his shot at pole is gone away, so which now falls onto the likes of Schiff and Alpole and Brumfield to see if they can take pole away from Cass. But they've got to make almost half a second for most of them to get in front of him, which can be done. It's a long lap, but it looks like the ball is very much in Cass's court.
Oh, definitely. I'm a bit puzzled about Owen Blythe. We saw him last week being right up there with and fighting for the win, and just having that spin and a contact with the back marker that really cost him that. That was his race, and he's all the way down in P14 at the moment. So quite a far.
Could that be a car advantage thing? Because it's not the best track for the Ferrari overall, whereas Imola is a very good track for the Ferrari with those high curves.
Yeah. Esquez has improved his time. But I think it's maybe also down to he has only been doing one flying lap. The track will probably get a bit better with more tire down, and just we haven't seen his lap.
That's the thing. Is on the new adjustments iRacing have made. Higher track usage is slower.
Oh, so
iRacing have kind of the threshold of over rubbering is if rubber exists on the track is over rubbered. Don't ask me why. I don't work for iRacing, so I don't know why. But that is the case, and so a clean track is a quick track, and that means that in qualifying, track doesn't get rubbered in too quickly, but as the race goes on, the track will get slower, really. I mean, what time of day are we at right now? Yeah, it'll kind of the temperature won't change too much. We're kind of midday-ish right now, so I don't think track temp will change too much as we go on. So yeah, the track will get slower as we go into the race, which means it will get harder to drive, a little bit trickier. So although we don't have tyre wear, it's not going to be plain sailing for the driver.
As we are now hiring the pros going on the laps with car number 173 of Mike Leeds, car number 157 of Asger Hepsgaard, car number 121, our winner last week, Reina Talva, car number 172 of Mateusz Lutzka, car number 123 of Paiki Petro Wikowski, car number 188 of Mighty Nader League. And then we have car number 124 of Adrian van Puten. Car number 111 of Alex Bennett, one of our, more seasoned driver here. Car number 103 of John Hallowell. Car number 101, our defending champion, James Penske. Interesting to see if he can get back there. He didn't have the greatest of races last week. Car number...
No, I mean, Imola in the past hasn't really favoured James. I seem to remember season 8, when we last went there, he finished around 14th or something. So, might have been a bit of a bogey track for him. So, we'll have to see how he does this week.
Yeah. Car number 119 of Blair Mann. Car number 113 of Magella. Yeah, he was quite fast. I was seeing up there in P3, P4, and in the practice. So interesting to see. And then car number 112 of Michael Neumeier. And then they have just pitted car number 109 of Chris Holstein, who really want to get a good race in here. He had a horrible race last time. And number 196 of Mike Shippers. So
that's a name I haven't heard in a while because I wasn't here last week. But that is a name, Mike Scapers, that I seem to remember from broadcasts seasons ago, and it's nice to see something like that back.
Yeah, exactly. Was it season 7, I think.
I think it might have been season 7 was the last time he was on the grid.
Yeah, so and a damn fast driver as Talvar has just put in fastest lap as with Mann and Penske right after, and it's quite close up there, but it is kind of Ford heavy at the top.
Yeah, definitely a track that is not shy to helping out the Ford in its sort of characteristics. Ford is not slow on the straights, and it handles itself in the middle sector, so it's kind of a good all-round car at the moment with the easiness to drive on the new tyre model. Makes it kind of a nice balance. You will go to a track and you probably won't experience too many issues because it doesn't really get unsettled by curbs. It doesn't have that bad a tyre wear. It grips, it goes down the straights. So yeah, I would expect it to still be good around most of the venues we go to, whereas the other cars will kind of come into favour and come out of favour as different track car combinations happen. I mean, when we go to Nordschleife at some point this season, I don't think car choice is really going to matter. I'm going to be honest.
No.
I think that's more about how confident you are with the 22-kilometre beast of a circuit. So, but yeah, it'll all come down to the venue we're at. And I think this week, personally, I still would drive a Ford or a BMW. Those would be my picks. Though the other two, you're kind of putting yourself at a slight disadvantage.
Yeah, for me, it depends how your driving style. Because if your driving style just suits the Porsche, then we have seen drivers in the past, Holstein, just being incredible fast in that Porsche, and just being up there, when the Porsche in reality were nowhere near anything, but it just suits him.
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's now in the Ford, and I have heard he's not favouring the Ford at the moment because it's not a car he's blended with too well. Maybe the tyre adjustment will have helped that. I don't know, but yeah, the one issue with the Porsche is it's great in the middle sector, which is where all that confidence could even build on even more.
It's just
but
not fast.
Just down the straights, it's nowhere near the other three this week.
No.
The other ones are all knocking on the door of around 262, 263 down the Camel, and the Porsche's maybe hitting 258. Quite honestly, it's just not. It's not great. I've heard drivers do it in officials in the Porsche, and they've just been like, "So I'm in the slipstream of this car in front, and he's pulling away from me."
Yeah,
and that's the one issue. And the problem is you can't fix that with driving style.
No, that's
and
true.
That's the annoying thing, is because no matter what in other cars, if you're having issues through the corners, you can try and cope with it, but straights, you're not the man that can fix that as the driver, unfortunately. So.
As we are
It's
now,
just like shame.
As official time of the qualifying is now over, and we just waiting on
for everyone to go for their 7-kilometer ride. There is a massive cluster on the back of the Kemmel Straight. There was a BMW, I think that's Connor Ryan, trying to give slipstream to Talvar, who was getting slipstream off of Ford of Arturo Melgar. There was headlight flashing, there was grass cutting. I think Talvar, unless he got a bit unsighted going into Le Combe, probably gained a lot out of it. He got a hefty slipstream, but we'll see as he comes across the line in about a minute's time.
As we have Holstein coming up into bus stop, let's see what his time is. There's quite a few cars who hadn't posted a lap time. Let's see what Holstein will be. That's a tight final corner. It just looked fairly okay here, Holstein. Where will you be put in?
Oh, he goes for a provisional pole. I thought he'd gone a bit deep into the bus stop on entry, but he's managed to pull that one out.
Let's look.
And now we wait for the rest of them to come across the line.
As I am just gonna have a bit of issue.
Bennett is finished with his session. He finishes 5th. Pinska's coming through Blanchimont with I think that's Talvar just behind him. Blair Mann I think is just behind them. So Pinska now hitting the first and then the second apex of the bus stop chicane. Comes out across the line. What time will he do? It's a 2:12.8, which puts him up to P3. Talvar, what can Talvar do? Talvar goes on to pole. He's 1.5 tenths clear. What will Mann do? Mann rounds the final corner, and he's going to come across towards the line, and it puts him on a 2:12.7, which puts him up into P3, relegating Pinska to 4th. Hepsgaard goes 5th, just behind them. And is that everybody?
That is, I think that's everybody.
Everybody else on track is set a lap time.
Alright, so let's see if we can get this overlay to work. It's a bit like, here we are. And your starting grid is pole, Rainer Talvar, P2, Holstein, Blair Mann, Pinsker, Hepsgaard, Bennett, and Chris, who, Pro-Am pole, P7 overall. That's quite up there. Then we have Michael Edens 8, Van Puten, Winowski, Hallowell, Dancy, the next in the Pro-Ams, down 12. Neumeier 13. Neumeier, he was fast last season. He needs to pick up pace. Schiff 14, Alpol 15, Weirboy 16, Sheppers 17, Brumfield 18, Malaga 19, Garon 20, Goldie 21, Nader League 22, McCurran 23, Lotus 24, Smith 25, Walter 26, Yundala 27, Lagney 28, Sørensen 29, and Blythe 30, Yardley 31, Lucas 32, Russell 33, Schlumann 34, Edward 35, and Lacey 36. Wow, that's a lot of driver. And then Clement, who got the pole in AM 37, Matos 38, Pontecorvi, Cooper, Mamano, Kamke, Brill, Ryan, John, Santo, and James Smith will be the last driver on the grid. So now they're just lining up slowly here on this grid. Ooh, is this just having a bit of a... Yeah, there we are.
So the gap between Cass and Craig in Pro-Am was only just over 0.2 of a second, but there are 5 drivers in between them that are slotted in there, which gives Cass a almighty advantage come race, because the next person around him for points he's got a 5-car buffer, and that just shows that having a little bit of a gap to anyone around you in qualifying, if you're in one of the lower classes, can just give you such a big advantage if somebody falls into that, and 5 people have fallen into it, so there's a big buffer there. Whereas Dancy, although he had a big gap to Philip Schiff, there's only been 1 car that's slotted in there, and that's the Shazoo teammate of Michael Neumeier, so he's not got as much of a buffer behind him, and he's got a lot of people to get through to get to the lead in front.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's always interesting, here at Spa, you don't really have that long up to the start finish, and we will have a lot of the field actually being still, you know, going around bus stop when the guys here at the front are actually starting. So let's see if they can all survive. I remember last season they had a huge incident at Radion. Let's see if we can get everybody, you know. Round 1 we had only a small incident, but round 2, you know, people might be new cars, new tire model.
Hopefully that new tire model makes it easier than it was, because we can remember from round 1 and all of last season pretty much, start of the race, cold tires, there was a lot of incident going on. But Talvar to lead them off into bus stop. He's given a bit of a gap to the pace car, so he's probably looking to bolt as early as possible, and turning into the final apex. When's he gonna go?
He's waiting.
And he's launched off the line. He's got a big advantage, so we're gonna have to look behind really to see the mayhem. They've got the comrade cars all challenging James Pinsker, who has tried to make a challenge on Christoph Holstein around the outside, but Holstein I think has got that one done, but he has made the position on Blair Mann. Are we instant free behind the front runners? That's the real question. Everyone looks to have gotten through fairly clean.
As Blair Mann and Pinsker were almost going side by side through Rouge and Radion, as Alex Bennett and Hipscott has gotten quite a tow out of on the Camel Straight. Let's see if Blair Mann can defend that. Hipscott on the outside. Oh my god, guys, be sensible here. Still 37 laps and they decide not to hit each other. Blair Mann defend from Hipscott. Is there anything down the field?
I haven't seen anything as of yet. There are 3 wide actually going through Malmedy, and that is a BMW that has been spun around, and it is Jan Kelmer no, not Jan Kelmer, that's the driver in front of him, Matthias Luxak, who has been sent off into the gravel, into Malmedy, and now finds himself right down at the back around P40, I would say.
It's P37 on mine as well, yeah.
So
Pontecorva just lost a couple of positions.
Connor Ryan starting to make up a few positions. He started
Andres
P44.
Lotus has been off. Let's see what has happened here into... just a bit too hot in there, and just saves it not hitting the wall right there.
Connor Ryan making his way up from P44 on the grid. He's just gone around the outside of Pouon on Alessandro Pontecorvi. Obviously that was not for class position, but Connor needs to start making his way through people outside of his class to start challenging the other pros, because qualifying down in 44th is not exactly optimal when you're trying to score points in pro.
Oh, definitely. And still here in the top we have Reina Talfa, Holstein and Pinsker. The 3 Ford just still in the... or actually 4 Fords. We also have Blair Mann up there. Still, you know, fighting out for it, but we do see a bit of a gap between Holstein and Pinsker. Interesting. We have
CRG teammates of Dancy and Neumeier getting a bit feisty.
Alpol with out of front. That doesn't look like a healthy car.
I had actually just wondered where he'd gone, because he was around his other Chizu teammates and is, right down at the back. Still going, not pitting. That's slightly controversial, but I guess if his balance isn't too impacted, then he's fine to continue. And actually, whoa!
Oh my goodness!
That is.
What was that? Was that
Pontecorvi and Lutus in the wall on the run down towards Eau Rouge?
Oh my goodness! And Pontecorvi was just around top. He was rolling around as well. Oh, that's 2 drivers who couldn't decide where to go, and I'm not sure that... Oh, Pontecorvi, that's a destroyed car. Ooh, as we have one of...
came from Pontecorvi's teammates lunging it down the inside as well.
Oh, major incident with one of our Polish guys just reversing onto the track and taking... I think it was Jamie Smith who got caught up in that. Nowhere to go for Smith.
Normally I can't hear the driver radio, but I can hear it, and Jamie Smith was not happy over the radio.
Not hopefully talking, you know. Not,
okay, there is a Porsche off there was a Porsche. Oh no, that's the replay of what was going on before. Don't mind me. iRacing just being in replay mode, not in live mode, and I was thinking there was an incident that had already happened.
that happens, you know, sometimes. I've been sitting here sometimes and being like, oh, what is going on? And King will like, well, we have been out of replay for the last 5 minutes. Ooh, as Dancy is looking real racy with Neumeier going into, I can't remember, went into bus stop here. Is he gonna go and overtake his pro driver here? Pro teammate? Ooh, getting that stopped. It's really difficult braking point actually, as Dancy's now on the inside there and getting that done. Ooh, as Neumeier is flashing his headlights, he's not happy about getting passed by his lesser teammate. Ooh, as we have cars stopping, that's Van Wolder, and ooh, Lacey just having the fronts in there. Ooh, get away. Let's see if he's gonna do the naughty thing and just go into the pits. That's not the way that you want to do it, but you know, sometimes you gotta do it. Ooh, as Pinsker and Talva is getting real close. Talva is not getting away with this one like he did last time.
Well, no, I think that's that slipstream that I was referring to in qualifying. I mean, it is going to be powerful around here. You've got a lot of straights, and that's keeping Holstein in touch with Pinsker behind. They're starting to throttle Blair Man a little bit, but I know visually it still doesn't. As you know, my timing screens once again have decided to fail me and told me he was 1.2 seconds behind. He is very clearly not. So thank you, timing screen, for that one. But they are starting to drop Michael Eden, so we have sort of a top 6 train, and then we have a little bit more breaking off behind that. You got a 2-man train of Edens and Hogan Hoop and Van Putten and Halliwell and Dancy and Neumeier, etc., have decided to form the rest of the field train by the looks of things. So we'll have to see how things develop. There's Roberto Eduardo is screaming over the radio.
Roberto Eduardo, let's see if we can find anything.
I don't think he's. Oh, I think there's someone flashing at him.
Ah.
This is a new thing. I'm not used to being able to hear the drivers doing this. I am in spectator. I don't understand why I can hear them.
Well, if you haven't turned it off, you know, sometimes you can hear them.
Oh yeah, I know. I've never had it before in spectator where I can hear it. So but that's new. I mean, it's nice. I mean, maybe it's not great to broadcast on the stream because there might be some things being said, but it's nice sometimes to hear what the drivers are saying, like you would in real life. You'd hear the team radios, and so I can relay any useful information.
And just, you know, you will be our bipping machine.
Yeah, I will make sure to leave out those bits. And actually, Dancy, after getting in front of his pro teammate, has got a bit wayward on the exit of bus stop, and now Neumeier is looking to try and challenge. But I don't really think Dancy. Well, they're going to make any difference which way round they are, because I don't think anyone can really make many advantages because everyone has slipstream on each other. So it's like when 2 drivers have DRS in other series where that's allowed. You don't really gain an advantage from it because everybody has it.
Yeah, exactly. I was watching here in the weekend with Formula 3 where everybody just had DRS, you know, then nobody has DRS. But yeah. Neumeier is definitely looking to be a lot closer here. He's definitely showing that, you know, I am here. You know, just make a little mistake and I will get right past you, because he's not happy being down into 12th position. That's, you know, with last season where he was right up there. Ooh, as Blair Man and Pinsker is really close. It's at 0.33. That's side by side.
and Pinsker is... Yeah, Pinsker's dropping off a little bit from that front battle, and we've actually missed the pass for the lead. Holstein has gotten past Halvar.
Yes, we can see here.
It was actually through Lecom, and Holstein has sent it down the inside. Rayner tried to hold it around the outside. They got very close to touching. I would not have trusted the iRacing netcode that hard if I was them. But they got within touching door handles pretty much, and so yeah, that was really close and well fought racing, and Holstein now takes the lead. Personally, I don't know if I'd want to be leading with the amount of slipstream that's going on. I quite fancy myself in second, saving a bit of fuel, maybe jumping a bit later, maybe doing a
West Talbot
strategy.
Really close here. No, he's
but
just
not
thinking
gonna be able
about
to
it.
make a move.
No, and maybe as you was just talking about, you know, just being behind, saving that fuel. We have seen it in the past that, you know, you might be able to gain maybe not even a lap, but that fuel that you're gaining might be what is the difference between, you know, half a second in the pit stop. As Dancy and Neumeier fighting here with Hallowell, who has them both. Ooh, as Neumeier just got past Great Dancy. As they are
and
still
we'll have to see if he can challenge John Hallowell in front of him, because the train is starting to lose the back of that Conrad BMW Van Putten. So Neumeier trying to make advances now that he's facing another pro driver, pro category driver, and he's in the toe, but he just cannot make the quite enough of an advance. It would be quite some send to get past there, but he makes up a lot of ground in the braking zone anyway. But one thing I do think about that strategy up front, now that we've got this big train of cars all slipstreaming off each other, if you were to slightly underfuel in the first stop and maybe get yourself a few seconds gap while everybody else fights it out in a slipstream train, you might be able to pull a little bit more so that when it comes to that final pit stop, you don't lose that much that you would do from underfueling, and you might be able to get track position. But that's just my opinion. We'll have to see what the drivers do. Obviously, you got 6 drivers currently in that lead train, so anything can happen.
Oh yeah, definitely, and there's you know, a lot of things with that. You might also just be going, you know, as long as you can, and just, you know, in that way saving a bit of fuel, not having to fuel as much. So it's all around, you know, and normally we don't really know what is the best strategy before the racing is going, because nobody, you know, we have had, is it Talva who has been eating tires normally?
Yeah, I don't think he's going to eat tires anymore on this new model, because I mean, in an hour they use about 25%.
Neumeier is really close to Hallowell. That's, you know, he was almost kissing that car.
But now Dancy's really close to the back of him, so...
Ooh,
and now Melgar has gone right down the inside of Dancy. He was wise to avoid turning in there.
And is
now Shift...
Oh, we have lost Blair Man. No, he's... That's... I think that's...
Is he lagging or is he...
No, he's back. It's a connection issue.
Yeah,
I was just looking.
He's lagging around.
Ooh, a Shift...
and Melgar... Oh, no.
Where did he go? My God, there... Oh, my God. Nader League has got caught up with that. He doesn't have a boot anymore. I haven't seen that before. Not having a rear boot.
I mean, Melgar had already sent it into bus stop on the Shazoo people, and now he's just rear-ended Neumeier, so he's kind of just braking so deep into most of the corners and has just missed it there, and then there's just been calamity into La Source.
Let's see if we can find it here. Oh my God, yeah. As we just saw, that Nader League just probably got the worst out of that, with getting hit, hitting Melgar and getting hit from the rear as well. As the whole scene is looking...
Oh, and then that's Mike Scapers that just spun around in front of Dancy as they went through turn 9 at No Name. I think he's just lost the rear end all by himself on turn in. Got a little bit on that AstroTurf. Dancy very close to slamming into the front of the Ferrari, but yeah, Scapers just going to have to try and make a recovery now. He's
Yeah, and that rear wing is not looking...
No.
Ooh, yes, he just got a bit too, you know, comfortable with that curb up there. That I personally don't like to do that.
I can't actually tell whether he hit the wall. I don't think he did, so... Scapers...
No, he reversed into the wall. He reversed.
Oh yeah, no, he reversed into the wall afterwards. There we go.
It's such an irritating thing to do, you know, when you actually got away with it and then suddenly just...
Yeah, he got away with it, but then trying to rejoin the track in a safe manner, he just rear-ended the wall and has given up and has left the race. As
the battle for P5 is definitely heating up with Hepscott and Bennett. Blair Man is still he's blinking a lot for me. I don't know if it's only for me.
He's blinking a lot for me as well. Blair Man's connection. But what's happened there is that Bennett has gone into bus stop and it's just locked up. I don't actually know what's happened. Hepscott's just caught massively on Bennett going into bus stop, and it's just sent it on Bennett. And I mean, that's some move right there. Bennett was good to see that he was coming, but well done from Hepscott to get it slowed down from that far back, and he made it work.
It sounds like one of those moves where, you know, you need the other guy, otherwise you will crash.
Yeah, it was definitely one of those, but it was one of those ones where you kind of expect Hepscott to just go flying off, and he just kept it perfectly on the racing line pretty much. Didn't manage to end up going deep, and I was quite shocked by it. But yeah, props for that move. That was well done, good sir.
So I'm just fiddling around here, my overlays. Having fun. Yeah, there we are. But now as we were talking about, he's losing a bit. You know, he's losing that train. How well has
well, he's now got diffuser damage off that incident to La Source.
Oh, that's
you can see
true,
both
yeah.
sides of his diffuser have been significantly bent. I don't think there's much more to it, but that's just gonna really bodywork damage on this game. Does a lot more to your straight line speed than the handling. So
Yeah.
it's going to be overtaking is going to be much more difficult. He is in one of the fastest cars on the straight, so hopefully it wouldn't impact him too much. But unfortunately, everyone around him's on one of the fastest cars on the straight, so either BMWs or Fords. So he doesn't really have that advantage to him anymore, so he's just going to have to use the slipstream. He's right tucked up behind John Hallowell. You can't really send it and launch him on, so he's going to have to wait. He does a slight brake, actually. That just shows how much entry speed he's got and how maybe little grip he's got. And yeah, he's not going to be anywhere near Hallowell going into brake time for bus stop because he just had to brake and not run into the back of him going into Blanchimont.
And that we have seen before, you know, and that actually caused Craig Dancy a bit of position. That Neumeier is just looking, he's maybe getting a bit too close there. But let's just go down and see where our AM drivers are at the moment, with Victor Matias actually being, as far as I can see, leading the AM field here. That's nice to see him back up there where he can really, you know, be fighting a bit, as we have Martin Naderleek in the pits with that. That's the rear of his car needing to be sold out there.
I think, yeah, he needs a new boot. I think I saw his suspension jolt around there, so he's probably got a new suspension coming. Yeah, he's got new suspension and lots of things that need to be fixed there after that massive smash into the rear.
But we have battle for the last podium in the AM field at the moment, with Mamano and Santos in 33 and 34. But you know, that's the thing about this league. That right there, yeah, it's for P33. No, it is also for podium, as Sørensen is slow. Ooh, he is around. What has happened to Sørensen?
I will tell you after that battle finishes.
Too close with, I think it was Rundela at that point. They're just hitting the wall. Just two drivers not really, you know, want to use the same piece of track, and they couldn't.
Also in that AM battle, Thomas Santo came out on top as they went into Lacombe, and now he's got a bit of a gap over Mamano, who's now having to look at Lutus behind instead of Santo in front. Because yeah, Santos managed to build a 0.8 second lead over his fellow AM rival. One person I would like to shout out is Conor Ryan, who's currently actually overtaking Chris Yardley, who, if he does have a grinning car, you can't see it at the moment because of the fact that it's missing its front end. And Ryan is up into 27th position now from 44th on the grid, and we're only 15 minutes. No, we were 15 minutes in last time I checked, and it's already been 2 minutes since then. So we're now about 18 minutes in. And so he's still got a long way to go, and has started to make a good position.
And you know, sometimes, yeah, he will be gutted that he had this horrible qualifying, but he will be having fun tonight. You know, just overtaking people. It is fun, and you feel, you know, such powerful. Oh, as Talva and Holstein are within 0.2 of each other, and Talva's just not going for it there. I was expecting him to overtake at the end of Camel Straight, but I think he's just waiting for his time.
Yeah, I think if he knew he could do what he did last week.
Oh, sorry, as Hepscott and Edens are just going side by side through the chicane up there. Going down still side by side. Ooh, Edens on the out. Ooh, a little bit of contact, at least from what I hear. Maybe not have been as aggressive as the sound were, but through No Name, and that fight seems to be settled for the moment, at least. Go on.
I'm trying to work. I guess we must have missed what happened, but obviously, Hepsgaard and Bennett weren't this far behind the lead battle, but they've clearly had some sort of issue that's put them into this other train behind, because they're now 6 seconds behind that pack of 4 at the front. But no, I think Talvar, if he knew he could do what he did last week, where he pulls out like a 15-second gap or whatever, I think he would get out in front and do it. But he just knows that he can't pull away, so he's kind of sitting in that P2 position, saving the fuel, saving whatever tyres he needs. I guess it's more about temperatures than tyre life, keeping the temperatures under control, and kind of just sit there, make up his mind what he kind of wants to do for the rest of the race. There's still an hour to go. Kind of a bit too early to try and make a bolt for it. He's still got probably about 10 minutes till the first pit stop comes around. We'll have to see how that plays out, whether anyone's short fuels or whether people go extra laps or pit early or undercut or what happens.
Oh, definitely. Just an update on our third man, Mr. Hill. His internet disappeared just before. Ooh, as Neumann is just going on the inside of Cass, and Cass did not defend that one. There's not really any reason, they're in different classes, just getting on with it. But yeah, our third man's internet just got down, and that's why he's not here, and he apologized. And since thanks to James for joining me here, otherwise this would have been quite a different.
I mean, that would have been interesting to say the least.
Yeah. Ooh, as Hellwell is getting past Cass as well. Cass needs to not letting all of these pass at once, because then now he has Van Putten, and the next one is Quick Dancy.
Yeah, he's not got that 5-car buffer that he had on the grid. He's now got a 1-car buffer. Although it is his comrade teammate, he looks like he really wants to get past, because Cass is not in his class, and he sees those pros in front of him, and those are positions that he actually cares about. He doesn't really care about Cass's pro-am lead, and as much as they are teammates, he wants to get points for himself.
Oh yeah, definitely. And also just keeping up with them, so that they're not getting away. There's starting to be this little gap, but as soon as you have this 1 second plus gap when you're out of the slipstream, that's where you can really start to lose time. As we are having I think it's a 3-man battle for P19 with Alex Smits, Webboy and Ben Goody. Oh, it's a 5-man battle. We also have Broomfield and Bly. Broomfield, who actually won the Pro-Ams last race, or was P2, I think. He was up there. Not looking as strong this time, and it could be down to car, or maybe just this track. Some drivers are just really loving this track, or really fast on this track. I think all drivers really love this track, but not everybody is really fast around here.
No, I think that's the thing. I mean, obviously you get it that different drivers are quicker at different tracks, but quite often you'll find that opinions of tracks don't vary too much. Obviously, some drivers will be slightly more biased to tracks they're quicker at, but you'll rarely ever find anyone that says that Spa is a bad track. And if they do, you instantly judge them.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Because you go, excuse me.
Yeah.
Okay. You're entitled to your opinion. I just don't agree with it.
Yeah.
And I never will.
But you know what? We have had this discussion at the King and I before with Le Mans, as Van Putten actually got past
Le Mans depends on what car you're driving. And I love it because I'm a prototype driver. But if you're not driving a prototype, I can see why people don't enjoy it so much.
That's true.
But as a prototype driver, I absolutely enjoy it. But that's kind of what it. I mean, obviously, the car is made for that track. It's a Le Mans prototype. It's built for Le Mans, and so Le Mans is kind of also slightly built for it. So they kind of go hand in hand, and that's the thing. Whereas Spa, it's universal. You can bring a shopping trolley here. You can bring an F1 car here. You can bring everything in between, and you should have a blast. I mean, maybe the shopping trolley might be a bit too slow, but other than that, I wouldn't want to try to take the shopping trolley up Eau Rouge. That would be quite a push.
Well,
but,
we have had to
that,
the farms have been here.
Yeah, it's you can bring anything here, and it should be fun.
Ooh, as Owen Blythe's getting past Broomfield in, that's not really a place where you pass in the middle of the second sector. Going now back up the hill, and I think Blythe maybe having a little bit of damage on the rear of that Ferrari. It just seems it, but it's not really hammering his pace. But these drivers are just really close, within a tenth of each other. Oh, going 3 right into the bus stop. That's not really gonna be there, and Broomfield has just taken his place back.
Yeah, I think that is damaging the Ferrari. It is quite hard to tell, but but I think Owen has a little bit of rear damage. It won't affect him too much with how minor it is, but it might be costing him maybe 1 kilometre an hour down the straight, maybe 2, which obviously is suboptimal, but it's not really too noticeable.
Ooh, as Talva again. Now I'm getting with this. I think Talva might be just waiting for that pit stop as we talked about.
Yeah, unfortunately, the lead battles tend to be quite boring and methodical and strategic based, and so they're all boring, having their four-car train up at the front where they're all just lifting and coasting. Then we get behind that, and everybody else is going door to door and overtaking in every single place they can and battering into each other. That's what we want to see. We don't want to see this boring methodical strategy.
No.
Actually, I mean, Mid-Ohio last season was actually quite fun, not knowing how the strategy was going to play out. But apart from that, we want to see racing.
But that's the thing, you need to be a fan of strategy to making that interesting. Sometimes I really enjoy that, but you need to be a fan of that. But in football they trade shirts, and here we trade paints. That's just what racing is. Just a little bit, not too much. We don't want to share parts. We share only paints. As Neumeier is getting up to P7 and is slowly just getting the lap times in and start to get back up there, but he has lost a lot of time by having a abysmal qualifying and just being stuck in a lot of the fights at the beginning. But we're still having these really close battles. But what we tend to see is after the first stop, they will just go in small groups clad of cars, and at the second stop we just tend to have quite a few. But as Craig Dancy has just pitted here, as my new overlays watch is actually saying pit on there. It's fantastic. It just took 5.5 hours to get it done. As I think Alex
Schmidt has followed him in, so I think we're starting to see the first signs of pit stops. Obviously, these might be slightly earlier than minimum fuels. They might be running on minimum fuel. I don't know, but I don't have their telemetry. But I would expect to start seeing people coming in around about now. We're getting towards the half an hour mark, which is kind of the golden point for most tracks. Some tracks will be earlier, some tracks will be later, but that's normally a good margin if you're ever tuning into these GTE races. So that's about how long the fuel lasts.
Oh, definitely. And sometimes it might also be just getting into the pits just that one lap earlier or something like that. If you're starting to lose a bit of pace, that could be because your tires are overheating. You have maybe locked up or something. you
Especially
don't-
on this new tire, which is
Yeah.
more temperature based than wear based. That is a very good point.
Yeah, and you know, sometimes just getting the tires just a bit down in temperature, then you can go out there and push again. So sometimes that can just be the fastest way, as Brumfield has actually.
Holstein went a bit wide in second Stavrola, and that will cost him another off track. So yeah, that's I think they've got to watch out for as well. Like while we've all got this racing going on, people that have been going door to door, they're going to be struggling for instant points if you've got a 4x contact for hitting somebody. That's really going to hinder your race.
Yes, we can actually see Asger Hepsgaard is at 15 incident points already,
And
with
he's
only
well up there. But when you're on that higher amount of instance, you're already in the danger zone, as I like to call it, where you're in that position of there is some event that can happen on track that can get me my drive-through penalty.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, exactly.
That at the moment, that's just only being hit by another car very heavily enough to trigger a 4x. But he gets one more off track, and then he spins, and that will give him a penalty. And two more off tracks, and then anything basically will get you a drive through. And at that point, you're really worried, because what I do like what iRacing have
sorry,
done.
as Holstein has just been passed by Talva.
He decided to start making his move now. The pit stops has come along.
Yeah, but it seems that the Holstein actually just backed out of that and was like, "Just take it, mate. Just take it." As we see another gaggle of cars with Schiff, Gaston, Brumfield, Goody, and McKern in the pits. Just a lot of traffic.
We're seeing a lot of the pit stops. Those front runners obviously using each other quite effectively to go a bit longer. Also, they are Fords, and Fords have better fuel efficiency. So, yeah, I think Holstein kind of gave it up because Talvar had made the move pretty much. He positioned his car on the inside and was like, "Yeah, this is kind of my corner now. You're not really going to have to do anything." And Holstein was like, "I don't really want to risk it. We've still got 50 minutes to go." Yeah. And so he's just going to sit there. I would expect maybe we'll see them this lap because everybody else is kind of coming into the pits. Maybe someone in this train can go one lap longer, but yeah, we're getting really close to seeing how this all unfolds. Will somebody short fill? Will somebody come out with a better track position? We'll have to just wait and see.
But that's the thing, but on this track, saving a lap of fuel is quite difficult because it's such a long track. So you need in your fuel to already be having maybe half a tank in the, getting there. Ooh, as they are
and
pitting.
There is 1, 2, 3, 4.
1, 2, 3, 4
through.
forwards. Yeah.
And yeah, just to finish up the earlier point of that, I like what iRacing have done where they've introduced drive-throughs rather than time penalties, because it used to be a strategy of if you're coming up to the pit stop and you had like a close to a penalty amount, you just go get the off track, get the penalty, and serve it in your pit stops. You didn't have to do 2 trips through the pit lane. Whereas now you have to do a separate trip through the pit lane because it's a drive-through. And I think that is a very good addition because it means that you can't strategically take penalties. Penalties should not be something that you do strategically. You're not supposed to get an advantage from them.
No, as we have our top 14 into the pits at the moment. I'm not gonna mention.
Yep, there we go.
And they're all getting out of the pits. And who is in the front of it? Talvar gets quite a
Talvar is quite a big advantage. He's someone that does utilize a strategy where he doesn't use his pit limiter. Instead, he manually adjusts his pit speed so that he can try and run the limiter harder. Because anyone that's driven on iRacing will know that the pit limiter can sometimes put you 1 or 2 Ks below the actual pit speed. So Talvar decides to run it at pit speed, and that might be what has given him this essentially slipstream advantage, because Holstein won't be feeling the benefits of the hole that Rayner is punching through the air.
Oh, definitely. But it's a risky move, because we saw last week that I think Holstein got a drive-through for
for doing that. Exactly, he didn't have his pit limiter enabled, and I think Alex Bennett did that in F3 League at one point this season already as well. He forgot to enable his pit limiter when he came out of the box, that's the main risk, is that you have to enable it when you launch out of the pit box, otherwise you just fly past the pit speed pretty much.
let's actually see who is in having the fastest lap at the moment. I think it's Pinsker. Yeah, James Pinsker is at the moment getting that point for fastest lap.
And I think with the tyre golden lap at the start of the stint, he might keep it for quite a while, unless anyone picks for that fastest lap later in the race.
But one of the winners really is Neumeier in P5. He can now see
might have done a contra strategy. He might have underfueled to try and get some track position.
Oh yeah, his last stop. Let's just get it on here. No, that's just pit stop. I can't.
Yeah, he's definitely underfueled.
Yeah, he's done 12.5 seconds in the pits. So, but that's also just to get ahead of Hepsgaard and Bennett and stuff.
It's to break the slipstream mainly. Yeah.
And just get out there and just do his own thing.
Because if he can catch that front battle and start slipstreaming off of them, although he won't be there come the final pit stop, he should be ahead of all the people that he's just jumped, and that would be a real benefit for him. Yeah. But he has to be careful, because what we had a couple of seasons ago was we had Sylvain Moraine at Le Mans. He decided to go for a contra strategy and an underfuel in the first stop, but he actually underfueled so much in the first stop that he couldn't put enough fuel in the second stop to make it to the end of the race.
Yeah.
And he was in a podium position, so you do have to be careful. You have to work out roughly what you're going to need at the end to make sure that you can actually fill it up.
As Craig Dancy, Hallowell and Edens are fighting and weaving down the straights, and that is Hallowell going on the inside of Craig Dancy, and he's losing a position there. But it's crucially not on a class position, as Hallowell was just flashing his light at
Dancy has
Edens.
taken the lead of the Pro-Ams ahead of Cass Hugenhout. Sorry. I don't actually. He's British. I feel like I should be able to pronounce it, but it's also. Oh no, he's not. I must have misread the Comrade tweet. I thought there was a UK flag in it. He's from the Benelux. Sorry about that. That's completely my fault. I just completely read the tweet wrong yesterday. My apologies. So yeah, I have no idea if I'm pronouncing that right at all.
He's Dutch, at least from what I have seen.
Yeah, that would make a lot more sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, just misreading the tweet yesterday completely.
But Dancy has also underfueled, only being in the pits for 17.7 seconds. That's about 1 or 2 seconds faster than Cass behind him. So interesting.
Well, we have to remember that he did pit early, so he might have had extra fuel in his tank. Yeah. So essentially, yes, he has technically underfueled, but he still might have filled it up full at that first stop. Which, again, doesn't make too much of a difference. It just gives him that track position over Cass. I mean, he's got a 1.6 second gap to Cass, so at the moment they'd kind of be released from their pit boxes side by side. And we'd have to just... I think it's more about your pit entry at that point.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, where you put on the limiter, how brave you are with the limiter and stuff like that. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see who comes out on top in about 25 minutes time when they pit again. But what they've got to do is they've got to keep focused, not make any mistakes, because this is sometimes the trickiest stint, because your tyres are a bit older, you're full on fuel again, and whereas next stint they'll be light on fuel, still on old tyres though. But yeah, here, this is where we like to see, well, quite often we'll see the spins and the crashes and the mistakes that start to creep in from driving.
Oh, definitely. And just to update slowly, we still have Victor Mattis actually leading the Amfield quite a gap out there to John Clement. It's about 7 seconds? No, more than that. 10-15 seconds actually. Quite a big gap, and then Clement and Santos is battling for P2 there with less than a second between them. But yeah, Victor finally getting out there and just driving, leading. I had a race here where I had Victor Matthias. It was one of his first.
And Victor's just gone for a bit of a drift through Malmedy, actually.
Ooh, Victor.
As we've been talking about him. That's your curse. That's not my curse.
It's always my
on
curse.
Curb that is a bit broken at this track, unfortunately. It kind of acts a bit more like grass than curb, and he's just lost a bit of grip, but kept it going. Bit of sideways action, and he's still in the lead.
Yeah, that's good. But yeah, I had a race here a couple of seasons ago, one of Victor's actually first season. And I've been known for my defensive driving. So I had Victor behind me from lap 2 or 3 and until the end of the race. And we were like, you know, very, very close. And he was a bit faster than me on the straights, but I was just able to defend him all the time. So I was just asking him if he could read what's behind my car, and at the end of the season I actually put some text on there just so he could read something, because he was always just right there. A fun, fast driver when it's really there, and I think Am is more his class, to be honest.
We will have to see how he gets on to see whether Am indeed is his class or whether he's too dominant in Am and just runs away with things. But at the moment, yeah, we've still got this 4-car train at P8 for Edens, Halliwell, Darcy and Van Putten. Van Putten was getting very close to the edge of, or to the end of Darcy's car, but doesn't seem to really want to make the move, so I guess he's happy where he is. Not going to try and get past Craig. Maybe Craig will try and work his way past the Venom cars, but obviously he doesn't have to. He's not fighting them for a class position, but what he does want to do is he wants to try and break away from Cass, because Cass is his main rival for the win of this race for his class, and he's not far behind.
Oh, definitely. And that's, it's always the thing here, because, you really want to... What you really want is just clean, nice air. Because, we don't know if Dancy's actually getting held up a bit by the Venom Motorsports pair up there. So... And that could hamper him, because he needs that gap. He needs it.
And saying that, he's only 2/10 behind Halliwell to go through Stavelot 2 onto the back straight towards Blanchimont. There's probably going to be Darcy's best run, but you might catch him a bit too early because you can't make the move in Blanchimont. Will Darcy keeps his foot planted, and Halliwell runs a bit wider. That probably would have given him an off track, and he's going to have to watch out if he keeps doing that while he's defending, because I don't think Darcy's going away anytime soon, and so he's going to have to keep his eyes peeled on the mirror, but also keep his eyes peeled on the off tracks.
And you don't. One of the things is you don't want to look backwards, because if you look backwards, you're going backwards. You just really want to be keeping your eyes forward, because sometimes you can just lose a bit, as we have seen. Cass is actually getting right now right at the back of this BMW train.
Yeah, Darcy just seems to lose a little bit around by source, which allows Halliwell to pull away, and then he starts making his grounds back in the middle sector and gets really close. So I think maybe Darcy's running a bit more downforce, a bit more grip, maybe a little bit, maybe a little bit more rake as well, just giving himself a bit more, speed through the middle sector. And yeah, just immediately gets to the common. Darcy's right back on the rear of the Venom pair, whereas Halliwell just can't, he kind of closes up to his teammate up front and then just loses it all again.
So sometimes that's, if you're in free air, this would have been the better setup, in my opinion, because you gain so much more through the corners than you get on the straight by just being there. But now he's just locked right here, and he's so close. I think Dancy might need to be a bit more aggressive and actually go for a move here. It's such a difficult place to overtake, but it can be done. But you just need to be so overly... as he's just hitting the grass end, getting a bit loose throughout the chicane. But you just, you need to be aggressive and just get there, and see if he can get his run up here out of Stavelot 2, as you
Oh, and actually, yeah, Halliwell got a bit of a bad run, but once again, this is the one issue, is if you get too much of a run, you can't do anything into Blanchimont, and then it kind of evens out again. Yeah, Darcy's, I think, just had to kind of even lift it off a little bit, try and see if he can get the run through Blanchimont, but nope, he's just going to lift, let him go, and yeah, not try and make the move there. I feel like if Craig could get to the front of this train, he could be lightning quick. But he's just sat on the gearbox of Halliwell throughout the entirety of the middle sector, and you're right. I think it was Alex Bennett that we always talk about, goes on about how you got to set up for the middle sector at Spa, you know, got to be like that. But it does work quite often. I mean, sometimes some situations it's not the best thing, but quite often setting up for the middle sector here does allow you to look after your tyres, get better purchase, just have a bit more pace. But this is where it hinders you. You can't overtake people as easily if you set up for that middle sector. But Dancy will try and see if he can. And when you said he needs to be more aggressive, I don't think you have to tell Craig twice. Try and be aggressive. He's always looked for moves, sometimes in places where perhaps there weren't them, but he can make moves in other places where you wouldn't expect them and make them stick. So
he's so
and
close.
actually he's very close right now. This might be one of those opportunities, but no. Backs out of it. He's being patient, which I personally, knowing Craig, I think sometimes he is a little bit impatient behind the visor. I hope he won't mind me saying, but today he is exercising it, and we did see that in the Formula 1 at the weekend with on the English commentary we had Martin Brundle saying patience, Alex, when he went for the move on Lewis Hamilton. And although people will say it's probably Hamilton's fault, which I lean towards obviously as well, like it still is a case of sometimes it is good to exercise patience, because although it might be the other driver's fault and they caused the incident, if you just waited, you might get a cleaner opportunity, and maybe that's what Dancy's doing right now.
But also Dancy, he's leading his class. There's no reason for him.
The problem is he's got his P2 man only 0.9 behind him, and I think that's what's starting to bother him, and also the fact that Eden's getting down the road. So maybe Halliwell might be a bit more of a sitting duck now, because he doesn't have the slipstream of his teammate.
They're getting so close. He just needs to get it through Blanchimont and just getting in through the chicane. And just dive down there.
Halliwell sitting in the middle of the track though, which is a good defence through there, to be fair, because there is that slight kink before the braking and bus stop, so it's a lot harder for the driver behind to work out where they want to position their car, and it's a good defence.
As the battle for P18 between Stephen Broomfield and we're bored, I think. I'm not gonna try that one again. It's just I had
a friend at school who was Polish. Maybe I should get some Polish lessons with the amount of newcomers from Poland that we have this season. Nice to see them all coming over here to GTE League, and we welcome them. But unfortunately, I do not know much Polish, I'm afraid.
Me neither, and that's, just please, send us some messages.
Yeah, give us some tips, because it's much easier when we know how to pronounce your names.
Oh yeah, and we
much appreciate it.
We do, but there's just some names that we will never never learn. But we do try. We do try,
we
but
try,
that battle is heating up slightly.
Yeah.
As we do tend to see this, we have these small bunks of cars around, and they're just getting close. Ooh, as Neumeier has actually passed Pinsker up here in the top. He's now P4. Pinsker's fallen off quite a bit.
Pinsker really has fallen off. He's nowhere near that lead battle, which is starting to stretch out a little bit. Holstein has made a little bit of ground since the pit stops, actually, which
I think Pinsker's made a mistake.
Talbot will still have that pit stop advantage with his pit limiter strategy, so Holstein's really got to start making moves and needs to get back towards Talbot.
But Pinsker's last lap was a 2:17.3. That has been, there's been a mistake there.
He's done a 15.4 followed by a 16.2. Oh, and that's Holstein round.
Oh my goodness me! Let's just see what happened there. As he's diving straight into the pits, Holstein.
I don't know what has happened there, but
he just braked way too late and just Yeah, just lost it.
Just such a shame to see because he's just not having the best of times at the moment.
No.
And Holstein, one of our few multi-champions, in fact only one of 2 multi-champions, it's just so odd to see him making these kind of little errors that are just costing him so much in most of the races.
He's actually the driver with the most championships, and the only one with consecutive championships.
No, Woodford has 2 consecutive championships.
Has he?
Yeah, he won his 2 championships back to back.
Okay.
And then quit.
Yeah.
Well, quit because he didn't like how the tyres were. He did do the next season. And
He was... No, did he?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. Oh, Stency is having... He saved it, but that was a BMW being a bit sideways.
But he's still on the back of Halliwell.
Oh yeah,
despite all of that, and he's. I just feel like I don't know how I would do it, but you just feel like he just needs to find a way.
Yeah.
Where there's a will, there's a way. He might be able to find a move, but looking at the instant points, nobody so far has had a penalty.
Holstein has been off again into the chicane after the Camel Straight, and he's just losing the rear. Not having a good day, Mr. Holstein. Sorry.
It's just not been his season for the past. Well, I guess around about a season. So from sort of this point last season to this point this season, it's just kind of not been going his way, and yeah, that's just an odd one. I mean, it's a very characteristic thing of the Ford to just lose it like that, but yeah, it's still slightly odd. Not something he's used to because he's switched to the Ford now from his beloved Porsche, and yeah, it's just not going his way. I mean, I feel slightly sad for it because when you think of Holstein, you normally think of Mr. Consistent.
Yeah.
And so uncharacteristic of him.
As we have a Neumeier pitting, but he also short-fueled it, so this is really when we will see if his strategy has paid off.
Yeah, I'll have to see those people he was fighting, which were around about the Venom cars and Asger Headguard, and you see how he comes up when they pit. At the moment, he looks like he's going to be shot out straight into some traffic around Brumfield. Maybe he might just get out in front of Brumfield.
Oh yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Well, yes.
No.
That's Owen Blythe going past.
Yeah.
But he has got Blythe right in front of him. That will not be what he wanted. He hasn't got free road, which is not going to help with this undercut strategy. But also, yeah, on the instant limit, we have two drivers, on the 16X, Thomas Lanny and Jan Kelmert, and then about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drivers on 15 instant points, which, as a reminder, is 3 away from our penalty limit of 18, and we still have half an hour to go, so people better be careful.
Yeah, definitely. As I'm just looking at Holstein at the moment, and he, of course, lost that place to Neumeier, and with 2 spins, there was no way that he was gonna gain that position. He really needs to, just get his head down and just be there, getting those laps in, and then he might be able to keep his top 6 position.
Yeah, it's just an odd one to see, but Holstein currently in front of Conor Ryan, who we mentioned a little bit earlier ago about how he was making progress through the field, but he's now kind of stalled around P20. And that's kind of when he was starting to get towards maybe other people for points in Pro. I mean, he's still got a few Prams in front of him other than that, and he's probably still got to pit. But yeah, I mean, that's just what happens when you qualify. Well, you don't qualify, essentially. You set no lap time, and actually Holstein has just made another mistake going through Stavilo 1. And Ryan just didn't know what to do, really, because Holstein is slow, but he's also not on. He's already made his second pit stop. And he doesn't want to get held up, so he just doesn't really know what to do with him.
Holstein just seems to be frustrated with the car now, and it's
something's not right. You can tell that something is just not going on. properly there, because he's just sliding constantly through lots of corners, losing the rear. Cars just going around, and I think that's why he pitted. He was hoping maybe it'd fix it, but no, just still happening.
Ryan was just almost lost the rear of his car there.
I was riding on board with Holstein and then had loud BMW noises.
That's never really what you wanna have, because
No,
the
it's
BMW
when you hear a Porsche just suddenly appear, it's just like, oh.
Yeah, well,
such a distinct screech.
As Dancy has gotten past Hellwell. Dancy
Finally!
Yeah, finally, and he has pulled immediately a gap of, almost a second now.
That's exactly what he needed though. He's now got a gap to Cass of about 2 seconds. So
yeah.
Dancy's made the advances he needed, and if he can get past the second Venom then as well of Eden's, then he'll be loving life and maybe even be able to challenge for a top 5. Who knows?
Yeah. let's hope for it.
I mean, like I said, I've seen Craig. He's been up and around way above where he normally would be in official races so far this week. So if he does get a top 5, he thoroughly deserves it. It won't be based on luck or anything like that. No, he would deserve it, as has Cass. If Cass can get up that high as well, he's been driving superbly on his Comrade debut. So those two at the front of the Pro-Ams have been doing a supreme job today.
They need to just tell the organizers that he's Comrade as well. I can see he's standing here as privateer.
Yeah, I guess he just hasn't changed the GTE team yet, because, like I said, it was about 8 o'clock UK time yesterday that they got announced. They announced him, so obviously unofficially a Comrade driver in terms of GTE League, but very officially in that paddock now. So
I have also seen that the guys at the GTE League, they're really busy with life as well at the moment, so updates are coming as soon as they can. It's, talking from experience, it's quite a lot of work to have these type of things going. It's not something you just do. And you have just Stancy's just looking at Edens at the moment. He's just really flying out there.
Yeah, I mean, he is lightning quick in the second stint at the moment. Maybe his setup is, like I said, maybe that whole being through the middle of the track is just helping his tyres a little bit, keeping them a little bit cooler than everybody else around him, so he's had a little bit less of a thermal degradation drop off, and is keeping them in better shape and can just challenge later in this very, very difficult stint where you're on fat fuel, dead tyres, well, slower tyres, and going at pretty much your slowest point of the race. So Dancy doing a good job as well at the moment, and yeah, if he can get past Edens, he will be flying.
Oh, definitely, and that's also what he needs. Cass has been stuck now behind Hellwell. Hellwell has lost the position to Van Putten as well.
Yeah, they were challenging up Hellwell were challenging up Radion on this lap, and obviously made the move around there somewhere. And Cass has now got to try and get past Tyler if he's going to have any chance of catching the leader of the Pro-Ams. Speaking of which, he's once again getting very close to a Venom car into Blanchimont, and once again can't do anything about it.
He just needs to, just get them to make mistakes, or the pit stop might also be coming soon. I think he might be a lap shorter than the others.
Yeah, he did. Well, he pitted 2 laps shorter than a lot of the people around him at the moment. Yeah. Edens, Van Putten, Halliwell and Cass all pitted on lap 14, whereas Dancy did it on lap 12, so you might see him come in 2 laps earlier. Speaking of which, actually, it's now been 14 laps since Dancy pitted at the end of this one, so I would expect him in this lap. You heard it here first.
You heard, yeah. And now you have said it, and then he will miss pits. As he's actually going for the move. He's going for the move as Edens is just not really defending. Let's see if he can get on the inside. And yeah, Edens has to take that one, mate. You're just a bit faster.
I think it's a combination of outside, Dancy having more grip. We've seen through the middle sector, Dancy has
Yeah.
a supreme amount of grips, and yeah, I think Eden's kind of just knew not to fight it too hard. He's not fighting Dancy for points, so just kind of let him do his thing. And yeah, I mean, Eden's, when we were following them earlier, you could see that Halliwell was a lot quicker on the straights than Eden's, because Halliwell would kind of close up to his teammate through the straights and then fall back through the middle sector. So I think Dancy had a bit of a better job there, and yeah, made the move stick, got it done, and we'll just try and use the rest of this lap to pull as much of an advantage on his in lap, because I don't see him making 15 laps personally, because of the fact that nobody got close really last stint. They all came in on lap 14, so I feel like that's kind of the limit.
And also, with only 10 laps to go, it's just a short fuel. He should be clean. But Pinske is just losing a lot of money. His last lap was
he's not having good times. He's done. After when we talked about that 217 earlier, he did a 16.2, a 17.4, a 15.9, a 15.2, and then a 16.1, a 16.4, and an 18.2. He is not having a fun time out there at all.
As you predicted, Dancy is in the pits.
There we go. And actually, we've had a confirmation from Alex Schmidt that he will be in.
Okay.
In the chat. And
Alex,
Tomo's Gowron in front of Schmidt has gone in, and Schmidt has gone in himself as well. But no, I think Schmidt put that in chat because he had a driver right behind him, and obviously it is a weird pit lane in bus stop. You do take a slightly odd line, so just giving awareness to the drivers around him.
At least they don't need to take the whole
endurance pit lane.
Yeah, that's
the 24 that comes up in a couple of weeks. That is grueling, because it's not a fast pit lane here. It's 60 kilometers an hour.
It takes about a minute to get through.
Yeah, it takes forever.
We were able to save, I think it was almost half a lap by just not, by only going half throttle.
Yeah, you can save so much fuel going through there as well. And if you've qualified near the front, and so your pit box is at the end of that pit lane, and say you're tight on fuel as to whether you can do the extra lap, you're just like, nope, got to pit, because I'm not going to make it through the pit lane.
Yeah. Ooh, as Holstein is losing position to Ryan now. Yeah, it's not. Holstein is down into the 217s now. Not really looking good for him. As Neumeier is now doing 215.1, he is getting into some free air. Yeah, he has gone into some free air, getting past the pro-amps before, and is 10 seconds in front of Dancy, and Dancy was one of the guys that he was fighting before the early stages of this race.
And Dancy was about 9 seconds behind Pinske, I think, when he pitted. So if Neumeier's 10 seconds in front of Dancy, that means that he should have jumped Pinske, and that would put him up into a pretty comfortable top 5 position, possibly P4, maybe on the fringes of that podium. We'll have to see where it all comes out as Pinske pit.
Oh, Pinske pits.
Maybe this pit stop will reset his tyre temperatures, cool them down a little bit, and help him out there, because he really needs something at the moment, because he is nowhere near the pace needed to stay in front of Neumeier.
But it's also one of the things that we saw, last week, where Neumeier actually suddenly out of nowhere were up in the top 5-4 positions.
Saying that, here comes Neumeier,
and he's
where
passed.
Will he rejoin? It's going to be close.
Pinske is behind. Pinske is coming up behind.
Yeah, there we go. Pinske behind Neumeier. Neumeier has stayed in front of James, and that will be a net P4 position when pit stops play out. At least it should be. We'll have to see if any shenanigans happens, depending on how much people fuel and stuff. But that should be a top 4.
And if iRacing is playing ball, we had drivers last week where they were not allowed to take off tires.
Also, Jan Kilmert has hit the 18 incident points, so actually I think he's already served his drive-through because he came into the pits on lap 25, which seems a bit irregular. So, yes. But then also we have Thomas Lanny, Christoph Holstein on 17, UC Rutler on 16, as well as Oscar Hetzgaard, John Halliwell, Andreas Lutus, Marvin Sluman, and Craig Dancy all on 15. So drive-throughs might be coming thick and fast if we get into some close racing come the end.
Oh, definitely. And we need to say this. Mr. 111, Alex Bennett, BMW, congregating on 0 incident points.
Somehow.
Somehow.
Because the next lowest is 4 from Alessandro Pontecorvi.
Somehow, as Mr. Bennett has just pitted.
Also, Mr. Ben Goldie has been on 4, and he's had a bit of a quiet race. But sometimes it's nice. Sometimes it's nice if we don't talk about you, because it means you've not had any incidents.
Yeah.
Kind of just gone about your business, scored some solid points, because he's still running fairly high in the primes. I mean, it's really hard to check sometimes because there are so many of them, but he's still within the points, and he's running a clean race at the moment. So if people around him get drive-throughs, then he can really start to make hay on those positions.
Oh, definitely, yeah. As a lot of the top drivers are now pitting at the moment, or have pitted.
Yeah, Talbot now has a 3.2 second gap to Blairman, showing just how supreme Talbot kind of just is through pit stops and pit laps. Just makes up so much gains on people. And then Bennett rejoins in 3rd position, looking for another solid podium to his GTE career, but he has got Michael Neumeier 1.3 behind on a solid looking pace. 15.5 last time around, whereas Bennett before the pit stops was kind of doing about that match pace as well. We'll have to see on the low fuel load what he does, but this could be pretty tasty for the final podium position.
I definitely can, and you know, Neumeier will be pleased with his progress. You know, these are just one of the races that you really like, where stuff is just slowly gone your way, and you know you can feel that you're gaining on people. That's fun races when you're just losing time. You don't enjoy that. You don't tend to enjoy those.
So on the Pro-Am battle, Dancy rejoins 1 second behind Van Putten, but also behind Michael Edens, with Cass 1.3 seconds behind him. So it's not done and dusted yet, because Dancy does have a bit of traffic in front of him, but once again we'll have to see how he fares, whether he's still got this supreme grip he had last stint, or whether everybody else's tyres have cooled down and that's allowed his advantage to sort of fleet away. Yeah,
but you know, this is what Dancy didn't want, because now he has to do it all over again. Yeah. And it's just, you know, he wanted out there and just cruising into the sunset, slowing down. But now he has to fight as Owen Bly is getting really close to Ben Goody for and that's a Pro-Am battle. 15, 16, and 17, and actually 19 with or 18 with Bromfield as well. These drivers are so close, and as we talked about, you know, if one of these drivers are making a mistake, that could be 4 cars into the wall, as a Goody is just getting, you know, using that he hasn't used a lot of incident points. We talked about he was on 4.
Yeah, he suddenly shot up
he's
to
on 7. Yeah, and that's because he's now defending from Bly, and that is at the moment costing him quite a bit of incident points. But he has got them in reserve. Ooh, as Brofield is making a late dive.
And that was somebody who was also using his incident points. But obviously, if you're making late dives, you can't really be too careless, because one shunt into the side of somebody, and well, that's just that's a 4x, and you're suddenly very close to a drive-through.
Oh yeah. But you know, sometimes you just have to do it. That those surprise attacks can be, you know, if you're stuck behind.
I don't know whether it was I don't know whether it was Patrick or Brumfield who was most surprised by that, because of just I don't think that was intentional for Brumfield.
Patrick is so close.
He kind of just I don't think he expected to make that corner.
No. It was more like, you know, I'm not gonna try and get into you, but oh, you actually left the door open. Well, then I will go past you.
Otherwise, I might go into your rear.
Yeah.
Because of how, I mean, there was a pretty sizable lockup as well from Brumfield as you went through, but got it stick. Patrick did a good job avoiding him, and everyone managed to make it through cleanly. Nobody got any instant points. We were all fine. Nobody should have got much damage. So, just got to continue, try and battle it out. Points are all on offer around there. You know, you've got 4 Pro-Ams fighting it out. That's a lot of points that can go either way.
Oh, definitely. As we actually have quite a few cars out of this race at the moment. We had a lot of attrition at the start, but we haven't really had much since then. Like, no,
I mean,
people have been
we had
driving.
Schiff retired 16 laps ago.
Yeah.
And other than that, well, I mean, we've got Jamie Smith's still running, as is Pontecorvi and Mamano. So yeah, Philip Schiff retiring 16 laps ago was our last retirement.
So what is that? 11 drivers out? That's still quite a lot.
Yeah, but I mean, it is. We had a lot of racing going on, and I mean, we had retirements from the start of the race, which is obviously kind of where you expect them. People trying to, people being
as Bly's
together.
Looking at has been into the bus stop, but he's thinking about it. Yeah, go on.
I was just saying that at the start of the race, with everyone bunched together, you kind of expect, you know, you get incidents going on and people going out. But then, yeah, since that's all sort of calmed down, we haven't really lost anybody. So, yeah, I mean, we've got a fair amount of people still on the lead lap. We've got, I think, no Merlin Cooper still on the lead laps. We've got 32 at the moment. So that's still quite a hefty amount. Obviously, it's a long lap here, but still. Yeah. 30 plus people. So, and at the end of last season, that was pretty much how many people we had showing up. So that's an entire grid still on the lead.
Oh, that's true.
At some tracks. So it's nice to see the people in the race not really losing out too much.
Holstein is just, he's up to 22 incident points now. 2 more and he's out. He's had a drive
the championship. I don't think it makes a difference whether he finishes or doesn't. So I think he's just driving around now to try and finish. But if he gets disqualified, I don't think it has an impact. Really.
I think, and this is my prediction, I think we will see a different car from Holstein next time. I think he's fed up with this Ford.
Actually, Holstein might be on for 1 point right now.
Oh, is he?
I think he is 10th. And actually, that's Jamie Smith actually going sideways, out of Stavelo too.
Ooh. See
Not been the best of days for Jamie Smith.
No.
Got very annoyed at a rejoin on the Lecom early in the race, and just hasn't gone his way ever since.
No. He's going very slow. I think that might be calling it a day for Mr. Smith.
Yeah. Blair, since the pit stops, has closed in around half a second on Talvar, but I think it's a little too late from Blair. He's just not got the pace to quite close in that gap, and Neumeyer's supreme pace has been matched by everyone in front of him, so he can't make many inroads. He's 1.4 behind Bennett.
But
still,
Pinsker has lost.
If Bennett makes a mistake, he could be in for a shot.
But Pinsker has lost the position to Hepsgaard, and is now trying to see if he can defend that a bit. Pinsker, after the first stint, he has really not been looking happy in that Ford either.
Pit stop, he's done 17-0, 16-2, 16-1. That is not good pace. Everyone at the lead is going about a second quicker, so yeah, he's just got to try and hold on to the back of Hepsgaard for some slipstream and just kind of stay there, because maybe he might be able to mount like sort of a last lap lunge, but he won't really be able to stay in front with the pace he has. So he's just got to try and hold what he's got, still come out with a top 6 if he stays where he is. So
as Ben and Bly is going side by side through the chicane after the Camel Straight. Oh, as Bly's just he has gotten that move. Respect between the drivers. That was needed,
done
otherwise
around the
that would
outside
have
of
been.
Malmedy.
Yeah. It's not easy, but let's see if Bly can now just go way up there.
He's got a 10-second gap in front, so he's just got to focus on hitting the apex here, doing the defense on the straights, through the corners, just hit your braking point, hit the apex, get the good exit, get the good run for 3 laps, well 4 laps actually I think, at the end of this, and then just make it to the end and end up with a top, well, P14 actually that would be.
Yeah, P5 in class. So
yeah,
good points, and that, you know, again, what this league is all about. You know, we have these class systems where every position in some way or form is actually quite, you know, valuable, which is a good thing. And just
speaking of valuable positions, there is the top 2 in the Pro-Am separated by a half a second. Cass is right on the back of Darcy. He really needs to start making a move on Michael Edens, because if he doesn't, he could be under threat if he makes any sort of slight mistake on an exit, or
as Hepscott is defending. As Hepscott is defending Pinsker as well. And we can just see it.
Have to pick his time. I think he's going to have to do it quite late in the day, because he's not going to be able to stay out in front too long. So he's going to have to kind of stick behind and then send it later.
Yeah. But what Pinsker's falling under is what has been really plaguing this league. The defense of that number 1. Only 2 drivers in 11 seasons have been able to do it.
Yep. And one of them is not doing a good job of defending that title of being that pacey, unfortunately, of Christoph Holsting. The other one is just not here because Woodford doesn't enjoy driving these cars at the moment, so it's just taking a bit of a hiatus until maybe the fun comes back. Maybe we'll see him one day, but I mean, he's perfectly entitled to do what he enjoys, and we have no reason to ask for him to come back, other than, you know, maybe more competition, please, sir. But no. And you're entitled to your fun. It's Will's ask.
But with the new update, you know, maybe, who knows?
Who knows? Who knows? Maybe one day we'll have the supreme grid of Woodford versus Holstein, and then Pinsker, our other champion. Do we have any other champions on the grid actually?
I don't know. Actually, no, I don't think so. Well, maybe the. I can't remember. Oh, as Holstein has just been disqualified. Holstein is now out.
Ah, sorry.
Yeah, it has
actually,
been.
Jan Kelmer has got to be very careful, because although he is way out in front in P2, I forgot how far in front Victor Matthews was. Although he is way out in P2 in the Anfield, he's got to be careful, because 2 more X and he will get disqualified.
Yeah, it is so close. And as well up here, Craig Dancy. If he's hitting Edens or getting too much off track, that's a drive-through. And then he will lose quite a lot of time here. Not as much as it would have been in the endurance. That would have just been evil, getting a drive-through through there.
Yeah, that's the thing. He's got to try and get past Edens to get a buffer to cast behind, but he can't afford to do it too riskily, because if he gets a contact, then he's got to drive through, and that's a much bigger loss. So he's really got to try and keep a level head, keep it calm, be a bit patient. If the opportunity comes, take it, but don't try and force it.
Oh, definitely not. Because they're just getting. He just looks to be able to have, you know, he just looks to have so much more grip. He can take the corners with, you know, so much more ease, and just hitting the apex a lot more than ease, Mr. Dancy. But as soon as they're going on a straight, he's just losing
well, he does have some damage. I think that was way over the rest with that scuffle with Melgar, and I think he had a tussle with his teammates and so on. There was a bit of a franticness at the start, so that's probably where some of the straight line speed has also gone. But yeah, it probably is also from that supreme grip he has that he's had to compromise, and unfortunately just means that he can't make the moves when it really counts, but he can keep the tyres alive, and it means that he's less likely to make a mistake because of the fact that he's got more grip, but it just means that he can't move away from the people that he wants to.
Oh yeah. As we tend to see here in this league, after the final pit stop, we do tend to have these battles drawn out a bit with if we just go over the top 3 at the moment with Reina Talbot with a gap of, well, actually only 3 seconds down to Blairman. Blairman has really had a solid race here, and Alex Bennett in P3 on, but he's like 10 seconds or something like that behind them. And then we will find our battle for P1 in the Pro-Ams with Craig Dancy and Kaz in P9 and P10 overall, and then we have Thomas quite a bit behind those, but as we talked about, if we don't see you, that's probably because you had a quite nice race. And in the Amfield, Victor Matthias, who has been leading really from the word go, just been up there. We saw he only had that one moment, but other than that has been really stable up there. And Jan Klamet in P2, but he's on 23 incident points, ladies and gentlemen. One more,
and he's got to survive 2 laps.
Yeah, and then you have Thomas Santos in P3 here with a Porsche that has gotten some lightweight there, without a hood on it.
Well, we've got BMWs without headlights, and we've got Porsches without bonnets, and some cars have been through the wars today, some cars have been straight out of the race, but they've all, well, a lot of still 29 of them on the lead lap continuing around, and we've still got 36 of them on track at the moment, so people still going, still continuing. And as we have now started the final lap, Talbot, coming into the come onto the final lap, we'll have to see how these battles play out. Dancy's got to defend from Cass behind, but he's got Edens in front of him, which might block him off. Who knows? We'll have to see as they come up. Radion, will Cass be able to mount a challenge, or will Craig be able to overtake Edens, because he's got a bit of a run? He's only 2/10 behind Edens, and Edens hasn't got much of a solution from Van Putten in front. As actually up in front of them, there's Pinsker and Hepsgaard going side by side into the com. Pinsker might have timed his move perfectly, and yes, he has. He's got past Hepsgaard. Dancy has managed to defend against Hugenhout. So it's just going to be a case of what happens into the bus stop chicane, really, because middle sector is not really a place to do many moves. But Pinsker, I think, has timed that move as perfectly as he possibly could, and it's now just up to Hepsgaard as to whether he can stay close through this middle sector to try and mount a challenge into that final corner.
And we will just be staying a bit with this battle for P1 in the Pro-Ams, just right up into the end, and see if Cass can make a late lunch. I think Hepsgaard has gotten a bit too far behind. I don't think he can. He's over half a second behind now. He needs to be a lot closer, and he's losing a bit of time now. But yeah, Pinsker timed that perfectly.
Talbot comes into the bus stop chicane, rounding the final corner to come across the line and take successive wins, essentially 3 wins in a row, if you count the last race of last season, cementing himself at the top of the championship. Blairman gets a second podium in a row as well, so really good job from the Scotsman, and he's flying at the moment as well in terms of form.
And Pinsker Neumeier.
And Dancy is gonna get out of the final corner. He's weaving across the line. He's happy. He's got top 10 finish overall and P1 in the Pro-Ams. P9 for Dancy overall.
And here comes Thomas, who is new to the league and now, podium finisher in the league, in the class. With, congratulations to him.
There's to wait a little bit for Victor Matios as he comes through Piff Path. He has lost a couple of on-track positions, but they're not for class position. Taking it just safe. Don't really mind about what's happening with them. Just get home, get to the line. You're on 15x, so just keep it clean. And actually, Talbot's got instant points post the line. I thought he had a drive-through for a second there, but no, it's fine.
Clement is just driving really, really slow around. He knows 1x, and that could spell just disaster. But
Matios comes out of the final corner, and he is going to take P1 in the AM category, 22nd overall, no, 23rd now, as things have sorted themselves out. Actually, I think, I don't know what's going on there with the standings, but okay, cool. Thank you, iRacing.
When people are going in and out, it's just...
And we've got Kelmer, who has somehow managed to keep it in P2, and we've just got to wait for Marcus Bullhiller, last man across the line, comes out of the final corner, still finishing on the lead lap, P27. And that is everybody.
And let's see if we can get this to work. Yeah, results, and we will have them on screen in a moment. Ooh, as a car just blew up. And here is your results before anything has happened in the steerage room. Reina Talva gets his win in front of Blair Mann, Alex Bennett, Neumeier, Pinsker, Hepsgaard, Puden, Van Edens, Dancy with that win in Pro-Am before cars. Hallowell, Thomas, McCurran, Bly, Goldie, Brumfield, Wehrbory, Polish guy, Alpol, Ryan, Rudela, Yardley, Lackney, Matthias, Lotus, Russell, Clement, Buhiller, Sluman, Santor, Cooper, Kamke, the fake finish, Mamano, Holstein, who these are the drivers who didn't finish. Holstein, Schmidt, Jamie Schmidt, Pontecovi, Philip Schiff, Lucas, Lackney, Lacey, Sørensen, Nader League, Edward, Melga, Sheppers, Van Wold, Winotsky, and Jan. Wow, what a race! Amazing. One of these races where it's a bit of what we say, tactics and stuff like that, but it's good close racing all the way through, and good one.
Yeah, it was good fun. New tires, new bot. We'll have to see how it plays out across the season, but already less incidents on the first lap, which was nice to see. No crashes up Eau Rouge, which was what we had last season, and promoted a little bit of a drop off. Some people are struggling a bit more than others, and we'll have to see what happens next time out as well. So I guess that's more of a better test, is if we see consistently what they're like.
As we have some people who actually want to talk with us. Who should we talk to first, Mr. James?
Oh, well, I'm going to have to check that. Shall we have a talk to our race winner? Because I think that's only fit.
Mr. Reina. And welcome. Congratulations, Reina Talva.
Thank you. Hello.
How was that race for you? It looked to be maybe a bit boring out there.
I would say it was boring. I knew, coming to the race, I knew I lacked a bit of pace compared to last week. And yeah, like first going the first stint, then field save like crazy. Then fortunately I jumped him in the pits, and then I was just trying to push and push to pull away, but didn't really work. And then Chris had his issues, and James had his issues, and yeah, then managed to pull it together and do some decent laps.
Good stuff. Good. Now with 2 out of 2, is a championship thing creeping into your mind, or are you still just taking it race by race basis?
I don't know really. Just yeah, I'll see how my pace is in the next races, and right now I don't really think about the championship, but obviously it would be nice to win it.
Any questions, Mr. James?
Well, so obviously now 2 wins on the trot, and we're heading to Suzuka next week, which is a little bit different characteristically to the 2 that we've had so far this season. Obviously a lot more high speed and twisty and technical. Do you think that you're still one of the favourites definitely to challenge there? What's your sort of opinions on Suzuka?
I'm gonna be honest, I've never driven Suzuka in the GT car, so it will be the first time for me, but I'll try to do my best.
Okay.
All right then.
Yeah, thank you, and again, congratulations, Mr. Talva.
Yeah.
So, see, we have this again where I think we have both ACC and iRacing is looking at the.
We have. I think we have Project Cars people today.
Oh, Project Cars people.
Yeah.
Goodness, yeah.
Yeah. So I think we've got Asger Hepsgaard, James Pinsker, or Stefan Kamke. I think are the 3 we have to choose from.
Let's talk with Mr. James Pinsker and hear about his race. And yeah, Mr. Pinsker, hello, welcome.
Hello.
How was it out there for you today? You look to be struggling just a little bit.
Yeah, well, essentially halfway through the race, about 40 minutes in, I was in the fight with Blair and Rayner for the lead, or whatnot. And then my wheel overheated. I spent 900 quid on a Fanatec wheel, and it overheats mid-race. So I had to take 90% of the force feedback out, and it still would randomly apply the pit limiter. It wouldn't change gears. It was changing my brake bias for me. I just found out halfway through the lap I was on 60% brake bias, which is very helpful. So, yeah, I'm just really happy that I managed to get that wheel home in 5th place, because it was pretty much undrivable for the second half.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Well, we were looking at the times and thinking that doesn't really look like the Mr. Pinsker that we have known over the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, I mean, it was super frustrating at the time because I thought I still had a chance. I mean, in hindsight, I would have definitely been able to get a podium. Not sure if I could have fought Rayner for the win. I know his pace dropped towards the end, but yeah, it was super frustrating. Just going down straights with someone right behind me, spamming my gear change, and it just wouldn't change gear for 5 seconds, and just stuff like that is super frustrating. But I guess I didn't think I'd be able to finish the race, so coming home in P5 is, yeah, really, really positive.
So one from me is that obviously you're a defending champion. Things they haven't been going too much your way, but you've still kind of managed to make up some good positions in these first couple of races. Do you think that the championship defense is still within the realms of possibility, or obviously Talvar's looking very quick, Blair's looking quite consistent. Do you think that you've got something that can match them in the upcoming races?
Well, I think so, but the problem with I'm not sure if my wheel will actually continue to be able to function. Obviously, AOR being 80-minute races, it's a real test of endurance, not just on the drivers, but also the equipment, as it turns out. So, yeah, I think I have the pace if I practice to fight with those guys. But yeah, we'll see.
Okay. Well, yeah, let's hope that you will get that fixed. And again, congratulations on actually getting home in P5, Mr. James Pinsker.
Yeah, thanks. I was so relieved when I actually finished the race and my wheel didn't, I don't know, catch fire or something. It's still hot right now, just rubbing it. Yeah.
Oh, that's not good. See you next time.
Yep. Bye.
And let's talk with the guy who was fighting, Mr. Hipscott. Should we do that?
Yep.
Hello, Asker Hipscott.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening. How was your race out there?
I mean, bruh, I am sweating so much. And you know, I am so gutted as well because I got overtaken on the last lap. I'm not sure if you saw it, but
Oh yeah,
James had some issues, but he took me on the last lap, didn't he?
it's kind of frustrating.
It was very frustrating, especially because I was catching him for a while and I was thinking like he must have some issues. So obviously I've got that position in the back. But then once I got past him and he got behind me again, he just stayed there until the last lap. And you know, it was a nice race. I mean, I had one spin, and that cost me the whole chance of doing anything. So I was just pretty much just waiting around the whole race, wasn't I?
How are you actually, just getting into the GTs and AOR? Do you think you can, with a couple of races, get up there and fight for some of the top positions with we have some fast guys here?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've been here before in, I don't know, 2018, 2019, and like a long while ago.
Yeah.
Season 5, I think it was, or something like that. But anyway, at least then I got a P4. But the other races I did, I was like P10-ish,
Yeah.
P5-ish. So I think I'm not. I've been off iRacing in the meanwhile, but in the space in between, I've been kind of like not doing anything. So now that I've come back, I think I can make a strong comeback, and let's see. Maybe I can get higher up, but I think I had a very good race today.
Good stuff. Mr. Clay, do you have anything?
Well, just that, like obviously, yeah. It's how are you finding the new GTEs, because they have changed a bit since like you said about season 5. I mean, obviously the new tires, and also like we're going to quite different tracks at the moment. So we went to Imola, which is quite a slow speed track, whereas here we had a lot of straights, and next week we're going to quite twisty circuits. Is there anything that you're enjoying more than others? Will Suzuka next week suit you better than what you're doing at the moment, or do you think that there are certain tracks that you're looking forward to as the season goes on?
Yeah, I mean, as it is now, they are really enjoyable to drive, at least. But the problem is there's such a big. I mean, I would mean that there's quite a big performance gap. I mean, the balance of performance is really not that great because the Ferrari and the Porsche are really, really off pace after this little update. And I mean, before in the start and in the first race, actually, I was driving the Porsche and it was so far off, and I thought, bloody hell, I'm bad. But then I got into the BMW and now it's easy. So I think tracks that has a lot of high speed, for example, Suzuka, I think I have a good chance at those tracks. And I mean, they're not the most fun, but Suzuka is very fun. But tracks like Monza and these kind of Le Mans and these kind of tracks, they're not fun. But I should be good there at least, if you know what I mean. And yeah, and then I would just like to end off by saying you guys are doing very well. Thank you very much for hosting the stream. And I would like to promote my new team's Instagram. If anybody would like to go and see it, it's called Team Question Mark with digital numbers, so we have a lot of fun and giggles on that one if you would like. And yeah, thank you very much, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much for that. But yeah, it's always a pleasure to have the stream.
Yeah, and thank you. And it's always a good thing to see some Danes up here, some fellow Danes up there. It's good.
Vamos. And come on, you Spurs as well. Tottenham are just winning, so it's very nice.
All right, see you guys.
See you guys.
Okay. And who do we have left, actually?
We only have Mr. Stefan Kamke as our final man that wants to speak to us.
Let's as normal end off with Mr. Kamke. Mr. Stefan Kamke, the fake Finnish guy. How was your race today?
Hello, yeah, fake Finnish, nice.
Yeah,
I'm living here.
Yeah, well, you're German.
Yeah, but I'm an expat. That's fancy for immigrant.
Ah. How was your race today, mate?
Yeah, I was off pace. I've never been quick at Spa. So my plan was to just like lap consistently and get freebies from people hitting the incident limit or otherwise making mistakes. And that part, at least, I think worked out nicely.
Yeah, how are you finding these changes to the cars? I know that you just joined a bit last season, where you're having some issues getting used to it. How are you feeling with it?
No, last season I had issues with the Ford and switched back to my beloved Ferrari.
Mm.
But yeah, the changes to the tire model are they need some time, and I think the BOP is a little bit off at the moment, with the Ferrari being at a slight disadvantage.
Yeah.
However, that said, in the AM field, the car does not make that big a difference. So it's a welcome excuse, but it's not it alone.
Yeah, that's true. In the AMs, it used to be much more, drivers, and are you comfortable with the cars, then you perform well.
Yeah, but the tire wear got me today a little bit. So the Ferrari tires definitely drop off more than other cars.
Mr. Clay, have you any questions to?
Not really from me because unfortunately we didn't really see too much of you today. But hopefully things might change. We might be able to. I mean, we didn't have much of a showing today, unfortunately, so we didn't really get to focus on too much going on down there. But hopefully in coming races we might be able to focus on a bit more and see more of your race.
Cheers.
Thank you, Stephen Kamke. And that will be the end of the stream, and we keep on around here in the AOR. We have a lot of good things coming. We are looking to get the Formula 3 broadcast going. It all depends on if we have the time and stuff like that. And also, if you're interested in ACC, we do have an endurance wind coming. Otherwise, here on next Monday we will be joining, and is that Suzuka, as you were talking about, and
yes,
hopefully
so we'll be at Suzuka International next week,
and hopefully we will have Mr. Brandon Hill with us as well. And just thank you, Mr. James Clay, for joining me in the box. And
not a problem.
Just say thank you to all us of our sponsors. Without you, AOR could not continue. And this has been my second time hosting one, so I hope that you all liked it, and see you next time.